been putting it off for a while, but I guess I'll read to you a little bit of that Elvis book. Um, because it's been kind of bugging me that I haven't read anything else of it. I just read the first chapter and then I didn't do it again. So um I'll be doing that. Okay. Hello. Now this is my book. This is Elvis. The life and loves of the country boy who became king of rock and roll. And this has pictures and stuff in it. This is a little book. Go watch part 1 if you want to. But yeah, this is a cool little booky book. This is chapter 2. It is called An Idol is Born. Okay. In an unprecedented move, RCA released all of the Sun recordings nationally at one time, and an army of Elvis fans rose up almost overnight. In January of 1956, Heartbreak Hotel hit the airwaves, and about the plaintive dirge about loneliness and love zoomed on the sales charts and in the jukeboxes to sell. Eventually, some 2 million copies. Blue suede shoes came along and changed the footwear of hold on, of our nation's young men, giving the blossoming musical style that was to be known as rock and roll a boot into the heavens and keep it there for years. Now, the reason why I was like, hold on, is because there's a bunch of pictures, you know. This is a picture book. So, yeah. These are the little pictures, you know. There's like labels, so it says like, on road to fame as king of rock and roll. He refined the swiveling hips, slouch and sexy, sneering smile into trademarks that made him millionaire at only 25. Colonel Parker spotted Elvis's charisma early and guided his career from then on. Saw it hit first peak in rating triumph on censored Ed Sullivan program. Cool. After making his acting debut in Love Me Tender with Deborah Paget, or is it Paget? I don't know. I've never heard of this person. Elvis was able to bring his parents out to Hollywood in style, while second starer Loving You was being filmed. Millions grossed from hit movies, records, souvenirs like this photo ring built Graceland for Mom. Like this photo ring built Graceland for Mom. Okay, whatever, I don't know. This is a little thing. Stuffed Bassett gift brought a smile to singer as Hound Dog passed gold record million seller mark. Oh, back from Army in 1960, Elvis again made film history with string of money makers that included Wild in the Country with pretty starlet Tuesday Weld. She was one of many Hollywood lovelies linked to fans' favorite by publicity planners. Okay. So this is a stuffed basset hound? This isn't even real? It's not even alive? Okay. Wait, did I skip anything? No, I didn't. The scene from Jailhouse Rock showed different Elvis than one on view in GI Blues and Harem Scarum with his post-service neater look. Riding high too at the time were the other Sun label originals, I Don't Care, Good Rocking Tonight, Milk Cow Blues Boogie, and You're a Heartbreaker. And Colonel Parker knew how to cash in on their success. As each record was released, stores were flooded with Elvis Presley souvenirs, photo albums, sweatshirts, and songbooks. You name it, the Colonel had licensed someone to market it. The money rolled in and the piles of it grew higher as Elvis made one public appearance after another. With each appearance, his style developed too. The slouch got more pronounced, becoming almost animal-like. The sneer twisted more and the hair grew even longer to be swept back in the ducktail. The DA to rival that Donald's posterior that was to become his trademark. I don't know what they're talking about, but that's fine. I don't really care, okay? I'm not actually an Elvis fan. I mean, I like a few of his songs, but yeah. Anyway, not to mention the gyrating hips that gradually reached a point where they were swiveling almost 360 degrees. The fans loved it and screamed for more. Their elders hated it and screamed for an end to what to them was labeled obscene and the work of the devil. From the pulpits across the nation, outraged clergymen decried Elvis's influence on the country's youth. Many editors saw the fast-rising idol as a symbol of an unprecedented rebellion among young people, one that the adults just weren't ready to handle. It was a revolt without a cause, longing long before the days when youth took to the streets to protest what they felt were much more serious depredations committed by the supposedly older and wiser heads. The adulation of Elvis's followers increased almost daily, and the uncanny colonel capitalized on and the canny colonel, sorry, capitalized on the loyalty of the fans by supplying them with a crowned head. His label, the King of Rock and Roll, quickly caught on and was to stick to Elvis the remainder of his life. It wasn't to be the only nickname pinned on the king that was to become a permanent adjunct of his future. Elvis's detractors came up with the label Elvis the Pelvis to make fun of his churning torso. I've never heard of that before. I didn't know they called him that. Teenage boys who couldn't hack it with the punky clothes and DAs used it to tease the girls screaming for more of their beloved leader. And again, Tom Parker showed his ability to handle a hot property. His game plan, set early in the game and followed throughout the career of his protege, was always to leave them yelling for more. The colonel knew that overexposure was death for almost any performer, and he made certain Elvis stayed alive. That wasn't easy either. There were many times when Elvis almost was overexposed, as teens tried to rip off his clothes on the way to and from his stage appearances, or any time he showed up in public. More serious were the times in his life literally when his life was literally threatened by the crush of the faithful as they mobbed him whenever he showed his face in that lean, lithe, sexy figure. His ye- and the yelling never stopped. Screams filled the air from the time Elvis walked on stage until he left the auditorium, theater, or concert hall. It didn't matter to the King's army what he sang, they couldn't hear it most times anyway. The opening chords were enough to set off new waves of squeals and shrieks. Security men had to be hired to throw up protective walls around the overwhelmed young singer who once had spent so many hours alone. The madness reached a point where bodyguards had to be added to Elvis's personal retinue. Retinue? Retinue? Retinue. I don't know that one. I don't know that word, okay? I don't know it. The king's court and the local police often were called out to prevent riots. Then another form of hysteria hit the throngs who turned out to pay homage to their new lord and master, um, a master they loved without hesitation because he had come from their ranks and logically thus knew and sang of their loves, fears, and heartaches. The fainting began. Women, young and sometimes matronly, suddenly would collapse in the king's presence. It became necessary to keep nurses on hand at almost every Presley performance. Initially, the swooning might have been caused by the pressures of sheer physical strain, going without meals to stand in line for prize tickets to the shows, shoving, screaming until there was almost no air left in their in tormented lungs, running to catch just one more glimpse of the handsome anti-hero as he was whisked away in limousines behind lines of guards. But eventually, going limp for Elvis became the craze of the moment. The swooning that had become an art form with the fans of Valentino and the young Frank Sinatra was refined to the nth degree by Elvis's followers. They collapsed by the scores every time he appeared, whether it was on the stage or off. Record industry sales figure record record industry sales figure peaks were being toppled too. Almost every record Elvis cut climbed steadily and quickly into the million seller category, and his success was often credited with helping spur record sales in general, bringing alive again what some had believed was a dying industry, mortally wounded by the surging interest in television. Colonel Parker wasn't ignoring the promotional aspects of the stage in the living room, however. TV was one form of exposure he felt would be good for his client, but he wanted it on his own terms. He settled on the Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey show, then doing badly in the ratings as the vehicle to prove Elvis's drawing power. The deal was set for 6 appearances, and after the first one, there was little doubt that Elvis was the king. Um, the Dorsey program leaped ahead of its competition, the popular Perry Como. Elvis's, hold on. My dad.